Well, let's return to one of our main focus stories this morning. South Africans are now getting far less for their money. Many people have lost their jobs or have had to reduce incomes, have had incomes reduced due to COVID-19. However, the increase in cost of living continues unabated. From higher electricity and water tariffs to higher costs of food and fuel, it now costs more than ever to survive. eNCA senior reporter Aviwe Mtila is looking into the issue and joins us now for that. And I'm also joined by eNCA's Dasen Tathia, who is out in KwaMashu, and eNCA's Lindsay Dentlinger for this particular conversation. Let me start with you, Lindsay. The Western Cape, you know, for those of us who don't live there, generally we consider it to be an expensive place to live. I can only imagine in terms of the various communities and their experience of the cost of living, things such as electricity. Let's start there, for instance, the electricity and rates. What is the situation? Because I can tell you, in Joburg, we are crying.
Tulas, everybody is crying here too, even though the City of Cape Town says their percentage increase is less than in other major metros. On the ground, residents, ratepayers groups say that in real terms, Tulas, that does not translate into cheaper electricity here in Cape Town, especially because there are home user levies and other charges added to those electricity costs. But with me, I have Mr. Morake. We've just visited his home to discuss with him what the impact that this is having to us for all the reasons you have already mentioned. Mr. Morake, thank you for your time. We hear that the petrol price is also going up. You have 2 vehicles here at your home. We have these massive electricity increases. What impact is it having on your household?
Yes, for now we have an impact in this house, in our house, because of, according to that you have been said now, that we have 2 cars now, and then the electricity also it's too high for us now. Say you buy the 200 rand electricity, and then you get units of 124. It was not like this before, but now it's too much for us. We can't even accommodate this on us.
So what kind of changes have you had to make to the way you run your household? Electricity, petrol prices going up as well next week. What changes are you going to have to make to be able to afford these rising living costs?
For now, these 2 cars, I'm not running both vehicles at all times because of I make all these vehicles full tank, and then after that I run 1 vehicle for a month. Then another month I'll run another one again, because so that we can accommodate our pressure in the house.
And just in terms of your rates bills and your electricity, how long are you managing to last now with a few hundred rands worth of electricity before you have to recharge your box?
It was too much because of before it was better, but now it's too much now because of we experience a lot of challenges in this house. Yes.
Thank you very much for your time, Mr. Morake. So, Tulas, there you have it. People having to make changes to the way they budget in their households, and then they're going to be hit with that second whammy on Wednesday when the petrol price also increases. But here in Cape Town, certainly people just not managing to cope with these increased electricity tariff hikes that came into effect on the 1st of July.
All right, Lindsay, let's leave it there for now. Let me bring into this conversation eNCA's Dasen Tathia, who is out in KwaMashu. Dasen, as if to make a bad situation even worse, we had the recent looting and violence, and we now know that it's been quantified that it has cost the economy some 50 billion rand. That's an easy number to say, to just throw out and say 50 billion rand, but these are jobs, these are livelihoods, this is someone's ability to pay for their school fees, which are going up, for them to buy electricity tokens, groceries, etc., etc.
That's right, and I mean, as you said, those are big numbers, and they generally don't mean much to the average person on the street. I mean, for them, they're more concerned about their job and what their immediate surroundings are like. And for now, at least here in KwaMashu, this is what those surroundings look like. This is the Bridge City Mall, Tulas. It is an economic hub in the area of KwaMashu, and it serves the neighboring areas as well, such as Ntuzuma, as well as Inanda. also. So many people have come here to get jobs. This has been in existence for just over 10 years, and it had cost more than 700 million rand at the time of its inception. This is what the state of that place is now. There is no work currently while the rebuilding and the assessments continue here. Just a little while ago we saw that there was a meeting being held just discussing the way forward for this mall. And as I mentioned a short while ago, it is about the effect on the average person. I spoke to a lady by the name of Londiwe Sokela. She used to work at the spa that's inside this mall, and she's saying that she doesn't know what the future holds for her. I'd like us to listen to some of that interview if we can, to this.
It affected all of us very badly due to we all sitting at home with no hopes. We don't know what to expect. We don't know what's going to happen next. We just, we went to clean our stores and our mall, but it's really badly damaged. So we don't know. We're all waiting and hoping for, we don't know for what.
So what happens in that time? Does it mean that will you still get a paycheck, or have they said that they won't be paying you until they reopen the store?
For this month, for the last month, during this looting, our company met us halfway and they gave us our monthly salaries. But for the next 2 months, we don't know what's going to happen, but we believe something will come up soon.
All right, let's bring in Aviwe Mtila into this conversation. And Aviwe, in Johannesburg at least, the focus has been on electricity costs, right? It came up to 15% in terms of that tariff increase that Eskom applied for and cascaded through the systems, including City Power. But you also have rates and levies and the likes, all of that going up. What's been the experience you've had this morning talking to various residents?
14.59% electricity hikes that Joburgers have to now deal with. Everyone is having to budget differently because of those steep hikes. But in fact, Bratulas, from 2008 to 2021, electricity has risen by 394% in Johannesburg alone. In fact, I got a shock of my life myself back at home when I had to look at my specific electricity rates from last week, the monthly budget for electricity. Already I'm halfway through my own electricity, which means now I have to budget double what I normally budget to. But interestingly enough, in visiting residents, I visited one resident that I coincidentally met on Facebook yesterday, where she posted about 2 different electricity units that she bought. She bought electricity for 1,000 Rand, and then 3 minutes later she bought another token for 1,000 Rand, but the kilowatts of electricity that she got weren't the same. A conversation that I had with Belinda Denzler. Let's just listen on that.
So we moved to Melville about 6 months ago, so it's our first time on the meter setting. And I've noticed, especially over the last 3 months, I understand that there's increases, that's really not the problem. But that the increases were pretty much what I felt was almost double than what was reported. And not only that, I'm not getting the same spend for the same money I spend. So for example, if I put in 300 Rand, I would get X amount of kilowatts. A week later, I would get a different reading. So I decided to test it because obviously asking advice from everyone, I said, okay, when's the best time to buy power? No, buy it on the 1st, it's the cheapest. So I said, okay, I'm going to do two purchases, exact same amount. So yesterday morning I bought 1,000 Rand. It was at about 6:30 in the morning. I got X amount of kilowatts. 3 minutes later, I bought another 1,000 Rand. And I got 108 kilowatts less for the exact same purchase. So not only has it gone up, but what you're actually purchasing is actually less. You're getting less for your spend.
It's not a malfunction, is it, Aviwe, that you're getting lesser and lesser in terms of the electricity units that you used to get if you are on prepaid? And you might think it's only if you're on prepaid, but actually, even if you're postpaid, when that bill comes in, the units that you will have used will be costing you more, even if there are less units that you will have used.
certainly the case, seemingly. Even Belinda produced the slips that she actually bought with to prove her point of how the unions differed from that 1,000 Rand purchase within 3 minutes. In fact, from that, aside from that 394% increase in the last 13 years, when you face other utility costs as well, including your sewage, has gone up by 267%. Your water, for example, has gone up by 288%. You wonder what your household income has gone up by in that last 13-year period. It's a headache, really, when you find that just this coming week, we're expecting nearly a 1 Rand increase on your fuel. So it's difficult to even budget for your household income now while that is remaining the same. It's quite a conundrum for Joburgers.
Squeezed and pressed on every angle. Where will reprieve come from? eNCA's Aviwe Mtila tracking that story for us.